There are 7 words that have cost American car buyers more money than any single scam in the history of the used car industry. 7 words, 1 phrase. And if you've ever bought a car from a dealer, there is a better than 80% chance you heard these words at some point during the transaction and didn't recognize what was happening to you. I spent 15 years on the other side of that desk. I worked the lot. I ran the auction lanes. I sat in the finance office and watched people sign documents they didn't understand. And I left because I got tired of knowing what I knew and saying nothing. So here's what I know. The phrase is, "Let me see what I can do." That's it. 7 words. And they're not a gesture of goodwill. They're a weapon. A rehearsed, deliberate technique designed to make you feel like you're winning a negotiation while the dealership is quietly reorganizing where the profit is hidden. By the time that salesman comes back from seeing what he can do, the price you agreed to has been constructed to extract the maximum possible margin from your pocket, just in a different column of the same spreadsheet. The used car industry generated $841 billion in revenue in 2023. The average gross profit per used vehicle retailed is somewhere between $2,200 and $3,400, depending on the segment. That number is not a coincidence. It is a target, a floor, not a ceiling, and the 7 words are how they protect it. This video is about decoding the full script. Not just those 7 words, but the 6 other phrases that live alongside them. The language dealers are trained to use at the exact moment buyers are most psychologically vulnerable. I'm going to give you the translation for each one, what the words mean on the surface, what they mean in the building, and the exact move you make in response. Before we get to the full list, you need to understand the architecture behind the language. Dealer sales training is a real, documented industry. F&I managers, finance and insurance attend certification programs. Closers study objection handling scripts the way lawyers study case law. This isn't intuition, it's curriculum. The National Automobile Dealers Association estimates that gross profit on a new vehicle sale now relies more heavily on F&I products than on the vehicle itself, averaging $1,800 to $2,200 per deal in the finance office alone for products that cost the dealer between $100 and $400 to provide. That gap, the spread between cost and charge, is what the language is designed to protect. The FTC has documented this extensively. In 2023, the agency finalized its Combating Auto Retail Scams rule, the CARS rule, specifically because the Commission determined that dealer language practices around pricing were systematically misleading consumers. The rule targeted junk fees and required dealers to disclose actual vehicle prices up front. Dealers fought it because the language works, and when the language works, the margin is protected. What I'm giving you today is the translation manual they didn't want published. Phrase 1, "Let me see what I can do." What it sounds like, the salesman is going to bat for you against the manager, 2 allies fighting a common enemy. What it is, a choreographed performance called the TO, the turnover. The salesman goes to the manager's office. Sometimes they talk, sometimes they don't. The manager's job is to calculate what concession looks the most valuable while costing the dealership the least. Maybe they drop $200 off the price and add $400 in dealer-installed accessories you didn't ask for. Maybe they keep the price the same, but offer you a free oil change package worth $89. The number changes. The margin doesn't. Your move. Before they leave the table, say this. "Before you go, I want to be clear. I'm looking at total out-the-door price, not monthly payment." Write it on a piece of paper and push it across the table. When they come back, ask for the full itemized out-the-door price in writing before any further discussion. If they redirect to monthly payment instead of purchase price, the answer to "What can you do?" is "Nothing useful." Phrase 2. "We're actually losing money on this deal." What it sounds like, a confession of sacrifice. The dealer is being generous to the point of pain. What it is: a documented negotiation tactic called the sympathy close. Dealers are required by law to have cost documentation on every vehicle: the invoice, the auction sheet, the transport and recondition records. None of that documentation is in front of you when this phrase is said. It's theatre. A NADA study found that the average used vehicle at a franchise dealership has been marked up between 12% and 18% above total acquisition cost before it ever hits the lot. An independent dealer working off auction purchases typically works with a cost basis that includes a 10 to 15% margin cushion before they even begin negotiating. Losing money is almost never literally true. It sometimes means losing a portion of anticipated profit. That's different. Your move: request the documentation. Ask for the purchase invoice or auction record showing what the dealer paid for the vehicle. In most states, a dealer is not legally required to show you this, but the request alone resets the dynamic. Most buyers never ask. The ones who do are no longer the easiest sale of the day. Phrase 3. What do you need your payment to be? This is the most dangerous phrase on this list. Full stop. What it sounds like: the dealer accommodating your budget. What it is: a pivot from purchase price to payment manipulation. A technique the FTC has described in enforcement actions as one of the primary vehicles for fee concealment in auto retail. When the conversation moves to monthly payment, the dealer gains control of 4 variables simultaneously: interest rate, loan term, vehicle price, and back-end product load. They can keep your payment exactly where you asked and move $3,000 of margin into a longer loan term, a higher rate, or a gap insurance product you didn't know you agreed to. Here's the math. On a $22,000 vehicle financed at 7.9% for 60 months, your payment is $444. On that same vehicle financed at 9.4% for 72 months with a $1,200 gap policy rolled in, your payment is $445. $1 difference. $4,000 in additional cost over the life of the loan. Your move? Never answer this question. The correct response is, I'm not focused on the payment right now. What is the out-the-door purchase price? Repeat it every time the question is asked. If you need to finance, secure your own pre-approval before you walk through the door. Credit unions typically offer rates 1.5 to 2.5 points below dealer-arranged financing on the same credit profile. NFCU, PenFed, DCU all offer vehicle loan pre-approvals online. Get the number before you go. Then you hold the rate, not them. Phrase 4. This one won't last the weekend. What it sounds like: a market signal. A hot car with competing interest. What it is: urgency manufacturing. Artificial scarcity. A technique so well documented in consumer psychology that it has its own name, the scarcity heuristic, and it overrides rational decision-making in otherwise intelligent buyers. The practical reality: CarGurus data shows that the average used vehicle sits on a dealer lot for 43 days before selling. The vehicles that genuinely move in 48 to 72 hours are priced at or below market. If a vehicle is priced above market and the dealer is claiming imminent sale, one of two things is true. The claim is false, or someone else is about to overpay for the same reason you're being pressured to. Your move: pull the VN history on any vehicle you're seriously considering. The Car Vertical Report or a standard Carfax will show you how long the vehicle has been listed in public records. If the dealer says it came in last week and the listing shows it's been active for 38 days, you have the information you need. Car Vertical runs approximately $19.99 per report. Carfax is $44.99. On a $15,000 purchase, that's money you spend regardless. Phrase 5. I just need to verify your information with the manager. What it sounds like: administrative process. A box to check. What it is: the handoff to the closer. You've said something that signals hesitation. I need to think about it. I want to shop around. Let me talk to my spouse. The salesman has been trained to recognize the exit signal and escalate before it happens. The manager who needs to verify your information is often the closer, a more experienced negotiator who will enter the conversation with a fresh approach and a different kind of authority. This move has a name in the industry, the manager TO, and it is not neutral. The closer's job is to identify your actual objection, price, trust, urgency, and remove it. Your move, understand that any escalation to management is a closing escalation, not an administrative one. You're not obligated to continue the conversation. A phrase that works. I appreciate you getting the manager, but I haven't made a decision today. I'll follow up if I decide to move forward. Then use that exit. The consumer who leaves the lot is the one who keeps negotiating leverage. The one who stays is the one who usually buys. Phrase 6. This price already reflects our best discount. What it sounds like, a firm floor. A fact. What it is, an anchoring technique. The first number in any negotiation disproportionately influences every number that follows. If a dealer can establish that the current price already represents a concession, even without evidence, the buyer's psychological reference point shifts. You're no longer negotiating from the listing price. You're negotiating from the already discounted price, which may still be $2,000 above market value. Check the vehicle's market position before you sit down. Use the Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer tool or the Car Guru's Deal Rating System, both of which are free and accessible on a phone. The KBB ICO gives you a data-backed retail estimate. The Car Guru's rating tells you whether the listed price is above, at or below market for comparable vehicles in your zip code. If the Car Guru's rating says above average or overpriced and the salesman says the price already reflects the best discount, you now have the documentation to say otherwise. Phrase 7. We'll handle all the paperwork. You can just sign here. This is the final phrase, and it is where the most money is lost. What it sounds like, convenience, a service, efficiency. What it is, the acceleration of the signing process past the point where most buyers have the cognitive bandwidth to process what they're signing. By the time you reach the F&I office, you've been in the building for 2 to 4 hours. Decision fatigue is documented and real. The F&I manager knows this. The products presented in this office, extended warranties, gap insurance, paint protection packages, tyre and wheel coverage, are the highest margin items in the entire transaction. The FTC found in its 2023 CARS rulemaking that F&I products generate the highest rate of undisclosed or insufficiently disclosed charges in the dealership model. The average extended warranty sold through a dealership costs the dealer $400 to $700 to purchase from the administrator. It is regularly sold to the consumer for $800 to $3,200. Gap insurance, which covers the difference between what you owe and what the car is worth in a total loss, costs the dealer $150 to $250 and is regularly sold for $600 to $900. These are not estimates. These are documented FTC and CFPB figures from enforcement actions. Your move. Before you sign anything in the F&I office, ask for a complete list of every product being added to the contract and the price of each one. You have the right to decline each product individually. None of them are legally required to complete the purchase. If an F&I manager tells you a product is required by the lender, ask for that requirement in writing from the lender before you sign. In nearly every case, it isn't required. It's presented as required because most buyers don't ask. If you want gap insurance, your own auto insurer offers it. The industry average is $20 to $40 per year added to your policy, not $700. Same product, same coverage, dramatically different price point. That's not an innovation the dealer is offering you. It's a margin line item wearing consumer protection clothing. Everything I just gave you is a translation. The phrases haven't changed. They've been taught at dealer training seminars since the 1970s, refined with each iteration, and they remain in use because they work on buyers who don't know what they mean. You now know what they mean. The next time you walk through the door of a dealership, pull this up on your phone before you get out of the car. Read it again. Because what changes when you know the script isn't just the outcome of the negotiation, it's your posture walking in. The salesman who works on instinct and reads buyers for a living will sense in the first 60 seconds whether you're the easy one or not. You now have the tools to make sure you are not. You came in today knowing roughly what a car costs. You're leaving knowing how the price is built, where the margin hides, and exactly what each phrase is designed to do to your decision-making. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between a $20,000 purchase and a $23,500 purchase on the same vehicle. The knowledge doesn't expire. It works on the next car and the one after that. It works when you're buying for yourself and when you're sitting next to someone you care about who's about to sign something they don't understand. Send this to them before they go. Every share of this video puts this information in front of someone who needs it before they need it. Most people find out how the script works after the deal is done. The goal is to change that math. One viewer at a time is how it happens. If you want a full breakdown of F&I products, cost versus retail price, which ones have actual value, and which ones are pure margin, that's what the next video covers. That's where most of the money gets left behind, and that's where we're going next. Everything shared here is general consumer information. Always have a qualified mechanic perform a full pre-purchase inspection before buying any used vehicle.